What up, home slices, home fries, and homes of other varieties? I don't know about you guys, but I keep seeing this documentary called Unknown Number, The High School Catfish, just circulating on TikTok over and over and over again. And so it made me very curious and I wanted to watch it. So I did. And so this video is me providing my thoughts on this documentary. And boy, do I have a lot of thoughts because, yeah, it's crazy. So if you haven't seen this documentary before and you're going to, you might want to skip this video because I will be providing spoilers. So yeah, you might want to click off now. But if you're going to stay and watch, so if you're curious, essentially this documentary is about these two kids. You have Lauren and Owen. They're 13 years old. It starts off with them in middle school. And they're like best friends, but they're like also boyfriend and girlfriend. And they start receiving these anonymous, messed up texts. Like they're bullying kind of texts. And at first it's kind of tame, but still on the level of bullying, like, hey, you suck. And I'm paraphrasing because a lot of those texts were fucked up. But, anyway, it starts off tame. And then it gets progressively worse. To the point where they start telling Lauren it would just be better for everyone if she would unalive herself and yada yada yada. Which is really fucked up. You don't go tell a child to go kill themselves. Like, fuck, dude. Like, no. People actually follow through with that. And yeah, it is a problem for mental health. And yeah. And mind you, it's not like 1 or 2 text messages a day. Like, at the end of the investigation, they had over 1,000 pages of text messages for over the last 2 years. Holy shit, that's fucked up. So, and that's between the two, so Lauren and Owen, and whomever else the person send all the messages to. And then Owen is getting like sexual related messages that are extremely vulgar. And then, of course, Lauren on her side, it's like, oh, you have a flat butt. Again, paraphrasing. And he would be so much better without you and blah, 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 blah. Right? And like I said, it gets very vulgar, very explicit, to the point where now she's coming home every single day crying and is upset. It's affecting both of their mental health. They start turning on each other and split up because they just can't handle that amount of stress. And so this goes on for about 2 years or so. I would say it's just shy of 2 years. So of course they're trying to investigate who the culprit is. And at first, they find a suspect, and it's the one girl on Lauren's sports team. She was a bully in the past, and so they thought it was her sending messages. And so, like, some of the parents gang up on her, which, again, that's kind of fucked up. Regardless, if she was a bully in the past, like, you don't do that to a child. But then people are questioning her bullying behavior, and then look at the parents, because it's like, well, behavior is learned, so she probably learned it from the parents. Whatever. But it still doesn't give anybody the right, especially an adult, to gang up on a child. So, anyway, eventually, the culprit makes it look so obvious that it's Chloe, the girl I was talking about. Just because they're able to manipulate where the texts are coming from, like the location. And so it kind of like follows her where she goes, that's yucky. But they do clear her, so it wasn't her. But meanwhile, the kids, Lauren and Owen, they're trying to figure it out themselves. They got the principal involved. They got the police involved. Eventually, they get the FBI involved. And I would say the police and the principal, they put in a lot of work and effort, but they didn't get any information really. The only thing they were really able to do for the most part were clear people, but even then, it's kind of meh, especially when they had their suspects, and just the way they handled it overall, in my opinion, was not great. Because again, you had parents ganging up on a child and trying to get her to confess to something she didn't do. And so that puts a lot of stress on that child as well. And then, yeah. And of course, everyone is like to the principal, well, why don't you make it where you don't allow cell phones during the school day? Which, to me, hearing that they're allowed to have their phones in school, I was like, what the fuck? Like, when I was in school, high school, middle school, we, first of all, if we even had a cell phone, if we had a cell phone, it was the flip phone, Motorola, or whatever, Samsung, but they only gave those to kids that walked home, right? But now, like, in high school, everyone's got, like, the iPhones and all that stuff, the smartphones. But yeah, even in high school, no one was allowed to have their phone out. Like, what? That's crazy that they allowed that in school. So I thought it would just be a simple solution, at least a partial solution, to maybe not have their cell phones out during the school day. Like, they could still have it in their lockers, but, like, not on them. I don't know. That's just me. And maybe the time period I grew up. I'm not even that old. I'm 32. Graduated in 2011 in high school. So, yeah, to me, I was like, holy shit, they can have cell phones? What the fuck? But with the school shootings and things that go on now more frequently, I understand. I just still don't agree with them having it out and using it during the school day, if that makes sense. But, so once the FBI got involved, they were able to get more information, and they figured it out. It was Lauren's mother. And the sad thing is, Lauren's mother was, like, best friends with Owen's mother, okay? And they did an interview with Owen's mother. I forget what her name is. I'm sorry. But she's like, oh, when they asked her about Kendra, Lauren's mother, do you think it could be her? She's like, the only one that they didn't really look into. And she's like, there's no way. Like, I've known her for this amount of years. Like, there's no way. And then they found out it was her. And the betrayal in her face. Oh my God. Oh my God. And it's crazy too, like, because they have the footage of Kendra getting caught. And I believe they're in the kitchen and they're like, hey, like, we know it's you. And it doesn't take much for her to, like, fess up to it. And it's just weird. It kind of feels like she's feigning emotion. Like, yeah, she looks kind of like deer in the headlights type of vibe. But, like, I don't know. It didn't feel very authentic. And then when she's in the kitchen with Lauren and the police officers are explaining to her what her mother had done and it was her, the look of, like, I don't know, I feel like she was in shock. She didn't know how to react. And some people kind of felt like, oh, maybe because she knew about it, maybe because her and her mother were so close, maybe she found out about it, or maybe, like, I don't know. I just feel like, because if you noticed, her mother and her were close, maybe a little too close, but close to where the mom's like, I love you every single day, and, like, is in her life, like, helping with coaching, or is the coach, and does, like, inserts herself into her life. And so I just feel like Lauren was in complete shock. unless she suspected. Maybe she did suspect it. But to me, like, when she started crying, it didn't feel authentic or, like, out of guilt. It kind of felt more like, oh no, I got caught. Because if you pay attention to the interviews with her, where, you know, they're talking about it, she doesn't seem very sorry about it. She doesn't think what she did was wrong. She kind of compares it to someone that gets away with drunk driving. Like, she was sending illicit texts to her daughter, but also a teenage boy. Like, FUBAR sexual text messages to a child. And from some of the things I've heard as well, like, she tried to insert herself into his life too, which got weird, and, you know, parents were like, hey, can you back off, because that's the weird. My question is, why isn't she still in jail? Because I think she finished her jail term or sentence, and she's out on parole as of August 8th, 2024, and her supervision end date is February 8th, 2026. Now, why isn't she in there longer? 2, why isn't she getting help? Or at least, it doesn't feel like she's getting any mental health help. And in my opinion, again, not a licensed practitioner, but I do have an education in Social Deviance and Psychology. In my opinion, there's some type of narcissistic personality disorder there, or Munchausen by proxy type vibes, but definitely a level of narcissism to where she wants people to need her. She wants to be the center of attention. She wants to be needed. It's very evident by how she inserts herself in her daughter's life, and it almost kind of feels like a jealousy too with her daughter, and like her daughter's looks and the attention her daughter gets, and it kind of feels like she wishes she was her daughter. There's a lot of mental illness there, and I think she needs some help. And I also feel like, I'm wondering if there's any type of apathy, and she can feign empathy real well. Just because I'm someone that's very empathic, and I can feel that type of stuff, and it felt very bland. Her reactions felt like she was putting on a show, and just upset because she was caught, and now people are judging her instead of the torment her daughter went through and the torment that she put through Owen and his family, and, you know, the other family members within her own family, like her, you know, her daughter, her husband, the aunt, so her sister. It just baffles me. And I know that I believe the way in which her husband, aka Lauren's father, handled it, he did, I think, the best he could have, and made the best choice he could have made, by saying, no, you're not staying here with our daughter that you told to go, you know, kill herself. Like, how can you tell someone you love them every single day for 2 years and then turn around and be like, kill yourself? Like, there's something really fucked up in their brain. And I feel like that's why a lot of people are having a lot of problem with this, because it's like, she's not even acknowledging what she did was wrong, and you already let her out of jail. And I don't know if investigators looked at her past job history, because allegedly she worked in IT and was either let go or fired, whatever. Did anyone see the reason as to why? Did they learn as to why? Because I feel like there was some kind of abuse in technology similar to what was going on, and either sent fucked up messages to coworkers or whatever, or I don't know. did something that was very inappropriate, because I don't know, people like that, usually there's a pattern to follow and there's a trail to follow. It's not like something that happens out of the blue. Like, there are signs. And for those who didn't pick up those signs, I mean, maybe she was just a really good manipulator and gaslighter and was really good at covering her tracks. The only thing is, you know, during COVID, I think is when she spent a lot of her time at home. So it's not like she was in an office or anything. It was harder to hide. Although it went on for a while because no one caught on that she wasn't really working for a certain amount of time. I don't know. It just kind of baffles me. Another thing that just, the math ain't mathin'. So when you don't pay your bills, your shit goes to collections. Alright? When I was in that transition of getting retirement disability because my health took a shit and I couldn't work at a physical job anymore, until I got my back pay, stuff went to collections, bills piled up, and let me tell you, those motherfuckers are relentless. So the fact that the father didn't know, that's weird. Has he not, like, gotten any of his mail before? I don't know, because when you owe money to anybody, not only do they call the shit out of you, but they send you mail, they send you emails, they will harass the hell out of you. So how did he go that amount of time without picking up that something wasn't right? Like, weren't services cut off? Or, like, depending on the bills, didn't people threaten to turn things off, like internet, water, cable, I don't know. Didn't, like, I don't know. I don't know. It's just weird. Even if she was in control of a lot of the finances and devil's advocate, let's say she was the one who got the mail every single day. And maybe they didn't have a landline phone where people called in and harassed. Maybe it was her phone number. I don't know. But, like, you would think that if she was behind on almost all the bills, wouldn't there be some sort of consequence to let anyone know that something wasn't right? Like, how do you not know? Like, how, that's what I'm just saying, like, which, well, we're not gonna know which bills, but, like, depending on the bills, or, like, doctors or whatever, when I go into a doctor's office, if I don't pay a bill, the first thing that comes out of their mouth when I go in is, hey, you owe this amount on this bill. And a lot of times now you can't get seen if you don't pay that. So, yeah. And then, like I said, with the water, like water bills, they'll cut your water, they'll cut your services, your electric, your internet, everything. Like, that's why I'm just curious as to how he didn't know. Because I feel like I kind of want to call bullshit on some of it. Like, how did he not know his wife wasn't working? How? I don't know. Second, my question is, if all this stuff is happening and your daughter has a potential online stalker or bully or whatever, my ass would be having some type of security system with cameras. I want to see who is doing what, who's coming near the house. I want to know. And if they had that, then maybe they would have caught on to the wife. But second, definitely would have caught on to the wife that she didn't have the job like she said she did and wasn't working the job she said she did. What really got me too was, like, they suggested changing Lauren's phone number, and the mom's like, oh, I don't want to do that. Just kind of made her look more guilty. But, like, as a parent, if my kid's coming home every single day crying and is freaking the fuck out and their mental health is severely declining, yeah, I'm gonna change their phone number. I'm gonna do whatever it takes to keep my child safe. That's why it was kind of like a red flag when she was like, I don't want to change my child's phone number. But at the end of the day, it probably wouldn't have mattered anyway. She would have gotten it because she's the mother. The other thing is, right off the bat, it was pretty obvious that the person sending the messages was an adult. No child is going to speak that illicitly, especially in the way in which they were doing it, like especially like with the sexual terms and things. I knew right off the bat it was an adult. At first I thought it was a man because it was more on the sexual end and they tend to go more that direction, which makes it even weirder that it's the mother. And I think there's a lot more going on than meets the eye. And I feel like if investigators took more of a deeper look into her, they might find some more skeletons in the closet, if you know what I mean. So that's why I'm kind of just like, if she was able to do that with a 13-year-old boy, what did she do in her past? Because like I said, there's always signs that lead up to things like this. So she did something in her past, and I think it shows in her work history. And if investigators didn't look into it, shame on them. But maybe they did, and they just didn't make it public because maybe the public don't need to know about it. So yeah, that's fucked up. And when it comes to people like this, when there's more emphasis on mental health, yes, jail time could help in terms of like getting that person to acknowledge what they did was wrong and having that punishment for them. But the fact that it's hard to describe because she knows right from wrong, but she doesn't feel it, I don't think. And I think that's where the apathy comes from. And she might be a sociopath. Who knows? But I think she needs to spend a long time in a mental health facility to get her back on track. Because, yeah, right now you just slapped her wrist. And I don't want to say she got away with it because she did go to jail. But, like, at the same time, she kind of did get away with it. Because if you think about it, if it were a man in her place, he'd be in jail for a much longer time period. Especially if he was sending those types of texts to a girl, a 13-year-old girl. He'd be on a list. Probably a child predator list. Speaking of which, she should be on one of those. And I don't know if the reason why she's not is because her reasoning was not sexually motivated. I don't think it should matter. If you target a child for whatever reason in any way, your ass should be put on a list. So the fact that she's not put on a list, that's bizarre. Because if it were a man, he'd definitely be on a list. So, yeah, that's just my thoughts. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, please let me know down below. This documentary was fucked up on so many levels, and it just made me so mad, especially when she started crying and hugging her daughter, like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, I love you. It's like, how can you say that? And then when you were sending her text messages telling her to kill herself, like, bitch, shut the fuck up. You knew. You're only crying because you got caught. Stop pretending. We know it's bullshit. Yeah. That's why I'm so fucking mad. Anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all soon. Peace out.